Hello there, Grania McElwain here with EirGrid, the official timing sponsor of the GAA, bringing you some insights from some of our GAA players, both past and present, and how in their lives outside of GAA they are focused on their passion for sustainability. So let's introduce our guest today, Jason Doherty, former Mayo footballer. Fáilte, great to see you. How are you keeping?
Good, thanks for having me, Grania.
Your day-to-day role is Head of Sustainability with Kirby Group. Talk to us what you do on a day-to-day basis.
So it's a relatively fresh role for me. I think I'm in week 5 now of this new role. I suppose my new role will be very much developing and building on the sustainability strategy for the company, developing various policies, procedures, processes and data collection systems which will require people from all departments of the business, whether it's finance, procurement. It's not just engineers I'll be talking to. So I'm at a phase now where I'm probably doing that kind of what they call the diagnostic phase of understanding maybe what's the current status from my perspective on sustainability, where's the business at, so I can kind of build a picture going forward. So I'm really enjoying it, getting out I love that side of it in terms of meeting the people and kind of understanding who does what and maybe who can help me going forward.
And where did your passion for sustainability come from?
Yeah, it probably reminds me of, I don't know if they still do it, but in secondary school there used to be they call it kind of a career coach or a career guidance person, and I just remember I used to love maths, I used to love construction studies, I used to love technical drawing, and I suppose that was probably an easy one when I went into those career guidance. They're like, well, engineering is for you. So I obviously went down that route, and I still love maths, thankfully, and still love the technical drawing and all that stuff. So I went and did civil engineering in University of Galway, and really enjoyed that. Again, obviously, I love that engineer side, and kind of coming maybe from that rural community. I would have grown up on a small farm, and I used to love working outdoors, and I always thought my life would be, I picture myself under a bridge in a high vis or in a trench, and it's funny how that didn't really it just shows you build up a perception of what maybe your career in life would look like, and it ended up being nothing like that. So I would have done civil engineering and then went to come up to Dublin. Actually, I would have been living across the road. I went to DIT and did a master's in energy management. And that's kind of initially then from that master's I got into, so I spent 10 years with the Sustainable Energy Authority of Ireland, kind of working across their public sector programs and business supports programs, but it was very much a program management guidance, supporting companies on their journey rather than hands-on on the ground building projects. So it was,
Jason, you're from Burrishoole, so tell us about the club and what's it like as a place?
So Burrishoole, I suppose, at the club, it's the parish of, which takes in a big area, which includes kind of the small town of Newport, and further right down to Mulranny. For anyone that's been to Achill has probably gone through it. So relatively small club. We're intermediate now for the last probably 10, 12 years. And it's a great area to be from. I suppose it's obviously a very rural area, but with that comes, I suppose, plenty of fresh air and space, and that kind of, I suppose, reminds me of the youth of just being outside, playing outside and playing sport and just being out in the fields and the gardens with neighbours and cousins. So great place to be from.
Take me back to that rural area, because Burrishoole, is there any place there around Burrishoole, in Mayo, that kind of inspired you wanting to get involved in sustainability, or was there an area that when things got too much you were just going, I just need to go here for some peace and quiet?
Like, I can't say sustainability was front of my mind when I was growing up in the community. Even now, I suppose, even the word is it's grown legs in the last probably decade, and everyone has a different opinion of what it is. For me, if you say the word sustainability, you think of green. I probably think of maybe growing up on the farm, and my father probably would have instilled a lot of kind of energy efficient and just general efficient practices into me. And I used to love getting out to the fields, even by myself, to be honest, whether it was just driving the farm machinery or just exploring the fields and the views. Yeah, there's plenty of maybe scenic areas in Mayo that everyone I suppose thinks of. I look out the sitting room window of our home house and I see Patrick, and then I look out a different window and I suppose I see there's a small wind farm actually near my home house, which maybe I suppose triggered, maybe that just triggered I ended up doing a thesis on wind turbines and what would we like to put a wind turbine up on our house, because we happen to be up on a hill. And then I suppose more recently then in Newport, recently the Greenway has opened up, so obviously from a sustainability perspective and cycling, and I've recently purchased an electric car, so I'm kind of in that mindset. So the Greenway has been great for the area, and kind of there's some areas of that I just like to, you can go down there and just walk the Greenway or cycle the Greenway. And I won't lie and say I've done it a load of times or climbed Patrick a load of times, but I've done them all at least once or twice. So they're kind of areas that kind of maybe jump out for me in around Newport.
Can you remember the first time you were called up to play for Mayo?
I can. It probably started back where we got into an intermediate club final with the club, and kind of was around 2009, 2010. We had a couple of good years with the club, and I got called in for. Initially, I was brought in for a few A versus B games, so I wasn't formally brought into the Mayo team. So I was brought in where we used to play maybe the week before game typically, and I think it still goes on, or it still did when last year when I played the week before game, kind of play 15v15 within the group. And sometimes they might bring in some club players that were to make up the numbers. So I got to do that in 2009, and then I was called in 2010 to do the pre-season gym strength conditioning. But I was playing with the college, with the University of Galway. So, and then at the end of the league, I didn't make the panel in 2010 then, so I wasn't called into the panel. And then 2011, that's when I suppose was properly called in and brought into the squad by James Horn in his first year in 2011. So that was kind of winter 2011, and then the rest is history, I suppose. Then since then, I've kind of until last year, I was kind of involved then for 12, 13 seasons.
On that note, Jason, it's been a pleasure speaking with you. Thanks for joining us today. Continued success.
Thanks, Grant. I really enjoyed it.